Hey guys, welcome back. It's Dawn. Excuse the squeaky voice. I'm still getting over this head cold. So I wanted to do a quick video today to kind of show you what I'm up to. And for those of you who follow me on Facebook, you've seen some of my more recent radial swipes that I've done. And what I'm trying to do is to make my pillow thick enough to support bloom paints, but allow it to dry enough to be more transparent than translucent. So it's kind of been a little bit of a rocky road here, a learning curve, figuring out what works, what doesn't, what needs to be adjusted. So let me grab a couple here. So these two are actually the closest to what I'm looking for. However, these two are the ones that made me realize that the opaque paints are going to, opaque or semi-opaque are going to kind of block the view of the color. So these look milky through the back, but when you hold them up to the light, you actually can see, some of the colors, but these more opaque colors block your, they sort of block your view. This one is the best example of the two, and you can't see it through this. You can see how milky it is. You can see the cell activator lines. But this blue and this particular gold and the red violet that I used are pretty, and the green also. Any greens, any phthalos, that type of thing are fairly opaque. And when you hold this up to the light, you see this mass of dark blue. So what I'm trying to get is the right amount of pillow, the right amount of color, and the right amount of transparency. So I learned really quickly, early on, that you can't put pigments on the bottom. I eliminated all pigments and did a couple more, and I didn't have that bleeding. So what was happening was the pigment was giving a blush of color to the translucent paint, the pillow, and I definitely don't want that. So I've figured out if I move the pigments, and not use a lot of them, if I move the pigments up towards the top, I get a better result. So where I'm at today is I've got a mixture here similar to what I bloomed on my wood panels with. This is floetrol gloss gel medium. Gloss gel medium. Quite a bit of it with American floetrol and about an equal amount of untinted Glidden Premium Base 3. So this is really thick, and this is my first experiment with this on the glass to see how thin I can get it and how transparent I can get it. I'm just going to do a couple of swipes here, a radial swipe, and maybe just a kind of a, I don't know, a messy, swirly swipe, just to see how the color movement works. Now, I had reduced the intensity of my color, and I didn't like that outcome. I still want that vibrancy on the bloom side, but I need it to be see-through. So I've mixed up all transparent and semi-transparent paints, and they'll be put down in just squiggly lines, small amounts. Let's hope this works this time. So what I have is, I've got violet, I've got permanent red violet. I've got Golden's Cunag mixed with a little bit of Deco Art 14 karat gold. I've got Venetian blue from Modern Masters. This is actually Pearl-X blue-green duo. And I'm putting that close to the top. And then I have the Color Shift green gold from Folk Art that I'm putting on the top under the cell activator. I'm just using a white cell activator. I don't know if doing this video is a good idea for my throat. Struggling a bit here. So I get a lot of bubbles in this mixture. So I've got to figure out a way to get those bubbles out because they do show through on both sides when it's dry. So that's another hurdle that I have to overcome. But I will figure it out one way or another. It's just going to take a lot of wasted paint and a lot of different scenarios. And I'm writing everything down as I go. So I don't want a lot of pillow because I want to be able to spread it quite thin. My concern with using so much floetrol and so much gloss gel was that I wasn't going to get the cell reaction and it wasn't going to hold my cells. However, I didn't have that problem with the wood rounds that I did using this similar mixture. So we'll see how it goes. So I'm trying to get this fairly thin, and there's a whole lot of bubbles in there. I wonder if a quick torch will pop any of them. That gloss gel just really holds on to those bubbles, so it's hard to get rid of them. And even swiping doesn't. So let's give this a try. Hold, please. No, it did nothing. So we're not going to risk scorching our paint to make that happen. So we're just going to go with that. It's going to be what it's going to be, right? So I'm starting with the violet. And just a squiggle. And this one is fully transparent. This is from Artist Loft. So I don't have to worry too much about that one. This is semi-transparent. So be a little more careful with this. Don't want too much gold because that might blush the pillow again. And easy with this. And the pigment I don't have to worry too much about because it is fully transparent. Oh, and you know what? I was going to add one of my pearl. Okay, I'll do that next time. And then the green gold. As you get towards the top, you don't have to worry quite so much. It's that base layer that you need to be able to see through. So I'm just using a square round paddle to do my radial swipe. And I want to pull some of this violet to the top, so I'm just going to do a little drizzle of this color on top of my cell activator. So here we go. You really can't fall in love too much with what happens on the outside here, just because you're not keeping it. Your center has to be pretty perfect, and it has to spin out really well for the same reason, because you are going to keep all of it. All right, let me kind of tilt this just a little. Just want to open up the cells and see where the color is at. Okay, I like this color here. That's a lot of green. And I've got kind of a, I don't know, not a great center. So I'm going to modify it just a little bit. Just to make it pretty, because it will get ugly fast. And I do want to slide this a little bit to be sure that this goes off and that some of this stays, because this is a nice color mix here. And just going to help it get to the sides by moving my pillow out. Okay. So let's, whoops, we are off center quite a bit. Just want to see where my paint is wanting to flow, so I can adjust from there. This purple at the bottom is very smushy, so I'm good with that going off. Now I have to spin this quite a lot, so if it looks like I'm like spinning the heck out of it, I am, but I need to, because that's the only way I'm getting this thin enough to see through the back once it's dry. All right, let's see where I am at. Yeah, I'm keeping too much of the ugly. She's not going to be perfectly round. I've got kind of a weird thing going on here. And most of these I'm not keeping. I'm just soaking them off and trying again. Okay, I'm actually going to give this a pretty hard spin right now. Just to get some of that paint off. Good, I got some of the ugly off. Wow, she's warped really strangely. It's fine. This is just kind of for testing purposes. And let's see how thin it is. See if it's moving. Another hard spin. It's funny, I have a smiley face. I have a couple of smiley faces in my cells. That's super cute. Okay, doesn't look like any more is actually pushing off. So this color combo is really kind of ugly with all that green gold. I don't know how it's going to dry, but that green gold is going to get moved to a lower spot. That's way too much. So I'm going to set this one aside to dry and grab another one. So some more base. Lift it up off here and tilt it on its own. You got some really good transparency through the wet pillow. Yeah, there's barely any on there. So I think, yeah, I think she's good. All right, so I'll attach some little videos and some pictures at the end of this video, and then we'll pick it up in the next video on what the results of this was and what the next experiment's going to be to see where I'm at. It's been 24 hours since I did these, and they are dry. They do dry pretty quickly here in the desert. Move that out of the way. So these are the two that I did in the video, and they dried pretty good. My cells held up okay. They didn't get crazy wonky, even though this one did warp a lot. The cells did hold up quite well, and I have discovered the key to making this work, making it translucent enough so that you can see the bloom and the stained glass effect through the back when they're hanging, is to spin it enough to thin that paint that's in the center. So first I'm going to show you these through the back. These were the original ones that I did, and as you can see, they're pretty opaque. And when you put a light to the back, let me see if I can get this to work. When you put a light to the back, you can see how dense that paint is in the center, but you can see that on the edges, it actually thinned out really well. And that would show if the light from a window were showing through it, but it would be blocked out in the center. Same thing with this one. I didn't spin this enough, probably more than that one, but not enough to get that to thin out. And again, the edges and the cells and lacing show really well, but then you get to the center and it's quite opaque. So with these, I actually did spin these enough and really got the effect that I was going for. It's quite pretty. A nice nice blush of different colors and peacock cells. Same with this one. This one actually ended up being my favorite. This is not my favorite light. This ended up being my favorite because you can see the cell activator on the negative space, and that just lends a really pretty look to it. But this got thin enough because I spun it out enough so that you can actually see through it. So when these are hanging, these will actually look like stained glass from the back. The front, of course, will be resined, and you'll get that bright pop of color from the bloom and the shine from the resin. So my challenge with these, this is one from a previous video. This is a regular bloom on a black pillow over a pearl paint stencil. And my challenge was how to get a hole through these so they could be hung. This is regular glass. This is not tempered. You know, you're not going to get tempered glass anything from the dollar store. So what was happening was no matter what I tried to get that hole, the glass would shatter every single time. And I've wrecked a few, and I'm done with that. And then I moved on to making some type of hanger. So what I ended up doing after lots of trial and error was getting this flat aluminum 3mm wide jewelry banding. It's a wrap for chunkier pieces. So this is pliable, but it's not super soft. It does hold its shape. So you need to cut a piece big enough to go all the way around the outside and meet, and then have enough for a loop at the top to put your monofilament wire in. And then when this is hanging in the window, you'll see this side and it will turn. You'll get the flash of the silver and then the flash of the pearl paint stencil and so forth. So the same theory would hold true for these. When they're banded, you would see that brilliant, shiny, resined bloom, and then you would get that stained glass effect through the back. So with all the lessons that I have learned, I've managed to solve each one of the challenges I've come upon so far, except for the bubbles in my pillow. I know that using gel gloss will hold those bubbles, so I'm trying to figure out an alternative that will still hold my cells and lacing and spin out and not just fly off. It has to have the same properties as a pillow in order for a bloom to work, even a swipe. Especially once you spin it out, because these do require a lot of spinning. Had I spun these two out more, I would have gotten this effect and it would have worked. So I may go back to trying just the plain Glidden Premium untinted base 3, which is what I used on these, and did not get the bubbles. So that's the next experiment I'll be doing. I won't do that on camera, but if you are interested in the finish work, how I applied the banding, what I used, how to make this work so that they can be hung in a window for that beautiful shimmery effect as they spin, drop a comment, let me know what you think, and I'll be happy to put together a quick little video once I get a successful translucent bloom. But this is a wrap on this part of the project, and I just want to say thank you for those who are tuning in, for my regular subscribers and newcomers and people just passing through. Let you know that I want to let you know that I appreciate you. I appreciate your being here, especially if you stuck with me through the whole video. And I will catch up with you next week. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.